My name is Gareth Wyn Jones. I'm a hill farmer here on the Carneddau mountain range. My family has been on this land for 375 years. I'm a big believer in seasonal, local, regenerative and good practices in farming. So we run about 4,000 ewes within the partnership. So the partnership is me, my father, my cousins and one uncle. A family business that have worked together all our lives. We run about 300 head of cattle as well. And we have something very, very unique, which are the Carneddau ponies, which run semi-feral on the mountains here. So it's a traditional agricultural system. It's what they call a Hafod a Hendre. So we use the upland grazing in the summer for the sheep and for the cattle. The cattle don't go onto the mountain, but onto our upland land. Then we grow crops on the lower parts so we can feed our animals over the winter. So we try to bring in very little inputs. So we try to be as regenerative as possible with feeding as much of our animals on the grass as we possibly can, which can be difficult sometimes, especially on years like this year, which has been a very, very dry year. But the mountain has special qualities and it has a lot of different areas which can sustain these animals and which is very, very important, I believe, for our history, our heritage and for food production. The biggest problems we have is, of course, weather, governments, supermarkets and big corporations. Now, if you think about that as a circle, they all are interconnected. The big corporations will be lobbying governments to put legislations and laws, inheritance tax for one, which is devastating for many, many family farms already. They're worried about the future. We are so-called rich people. This land is our factory floor. This land feeds you 3 times a day. Not supermarkets, not governments. It's the farmer. And people need to understand we get a 1% return on our investment. Now, if this inheritance tax comes, it's going to devastate these small family farms that are worth 3 million. And 3 million sounds like a lot, but that 3 million is never going to be in that bank account. That 3 million is just to keep for that family to pass on to the next. So in my opinion, if this government wanted to raise money, yes, go and chase your big corporations, go and chase your Dysons. Don't chase them family farms that are feeding the nation. They could have come out with a policy that any working farm that was producing food, that wasn't sold to solar, that wasn't sold to a wind farm, that wasn't sold for building or construction, that should be exempt from inheritance tax. So why would big corporations benefit from inheritance tax on farms? Them farms would have to sell a certain percentage. Are other farmers going to invest in that? No, because they won't have that money. They won't be financially structured to invest. So you'll have big corporations coming in. Then big corporations will be offsetting their carbon in the so-called net zero scam. So they can carry on releasing carbon, which is so important for every person, every plant on Earth. And it just really frustrates me that people don't realise how important carbon is and how minuscule the carbon problem is. If you're blaming my cow farts for the problems we've got, you need to go and see a doctor. I'm definitely thinking you've got things that are radically wrong with you. You have to start to address that there is misleading information across the world which have been blaming the farmers for some of these so-called climate changes. But the climate has always changed. If you went back to the Celtic times, this would have been mid-Mediterranean weather. Yes, it's difficult for farmers because weather can be one of the biggest problems. But we adapt and we still go out every single day to make sure that there's affordable nutrition, good food out there to feed our nation going forward. There'll be bigger corporations producing processed gloop in factories. And this is what's scary to me, is mentally, emotionally and physically the next generation will suffer in years to come. This needs to be addressed. Find a farmer, ask where your food comes from. Does that farmer get a fair price for what he's producing? All these things are relevant to move forward to make sure we have got food security. No business can keep going unless it's profitable. And when you think that we as an industry get a 1% return for what we are doing, and supermarkets will pull that plug on any contract they feel doesn't suit them. This is the pressure these people are under. Why are farmers taking their own lives? Why is the industry with so many mental health charities? And why are we such an older generation of farmers and the young ones aren't coming in? If we don't step up to the mark and start to address these problems, this country is sleepwalking into food shortages. This is a global problem. When people tell you it's just in the UK, I have got a big platform. I speak to people in America, I speak to people in New Zealand, Australia. The same narrative comes across, which starts with the powerful, the WEF and the United Nations, saying that we're going to be happy owning nothing. They'll take away your money, so it's all digital. They take away your food, and we are in trouble. The majority of this world is fed by family farms. Let's not leave these big multinational corporations take over. Let's start a farming food revolution right here, right now. And it can never happen until the public get behind the farming industry and start to ask questions on our governments, on our supermarkets, and on the elite in Davos. We have to look at ways where we can change things. We've got the internet, we've got social media, and we have to work together to find ways that we can have food hubs, find local butchers, find local greengrocers. I think the supermarket has been misleading with, a lot of the brandings they have, so they'll have a oak farm. We've got no idea where this food's produced. So follow a farmer, let's start a farming food revolution and build a better Britain on our bellies.